Welcome back to my newest masochistic display for your entertainment. Strap in for the spoiler review of the second episode of Gotham Knights, a show so good that a mediocre video game of the same name did not want to be associated with it in the public's mind. Last week, we ended the brand new attempt at a comic book show by the CW with our intrepid band of idiots holed up in the school's bell tower after escaping from police custody before the crooked cops in whose custody they were in killed them. I wondered this at the end of last episode, but I did it again this episode. I keep wondering why they are so sure nobody goes up there. But don't think about it. Just consume product and get excited about next product. This week, on our foray into stupid, we begin with SWAT storming into the Batcave. After they clear the landing with the computers, not the whole cave complex, mind you, they yell clear, and Harvey and Cressida come down. How did they know the Batcave was under Wayne Manor? Better question. How exactly do they know how to get into the Batcave? Harvey asks Cressida if she knew it was there, and she says no. Harvey then tells the police to impound everything. Question. Why are they impounding everything? What crime has been committed at the Wayne Manor to justify taking everything, literally millions of dollars in state-of-the-art, cutting-edge technology? Again, don't think about it. We start with our idiots this week, with them breaking into a high-end boutique to steal clothes. The siblings in Duella are having a ball, and Turner tries to tell them to only take what they need. But the criminals are absolutely sure they need all of the expensive swag they can carry out. Duella is trying to get Turner to yank the broomstick out of his colon when the police roll up. Sirens blaring and lights flashing. The idiots make their exit out the back, carrying their lit flashlights the whole way so anyone looking in the alley can see them. Once they get outside, Robin shows up, of course, also with a lit flashlight, because that is what masked vigilantes do, go running around at night with a flashlight on so all within eyesight are sure to see them. After the beginning credits, we get a really bad, really cheesy news report about Harvey being appointed to lead the task force to catch the four. The mayor telling everyone they will get them in whatever sleazy back alley they are holed up in. Meanwhile, at the expensive prep school the richest of the rich send their kids to, the escapees are back in the tower with Robin, who is upset with them because they were supposed to lay low. Turner explains that they can get food, water, and showers at the school after hours, but they needed clothing, which was limited at the school. They also tell Robin that their clues are drying up, 1 week into the story. Nobody but Duella has heard of the Court of Owls, so they decide to make fun of the crazy chick and her revelation about secret society of rich bird people, because that's not going to come back to bite them in the ass. Down below, Stephanie is still hanging with Asshole from their game of Suckface. She is stupid enough to tell him that she is trying to help Turner prove his innocence by hacking into the banking system, which is a federal crime that comes with a massive jail sentence. This seems stupid on the face of things, and it was. It gets even more retarded later. Asshole is quick to point out to her that helping Turner could land her in prison as an accessory, and that doesn't even count breaking into the banking system. When the bell rings, he leaves for class, telling her she should not help a guy like Turner. Stephanie decides to go visit Turner. She finds the siblings asleep and goes looking for Turner when Duella sneaks up behind her to put a knife to her throat. Turner comes out and tells Duella that Stephanie is helping him prove their innocence. Harper recognizes her name, and they begin mocking her because her father hosts a trivia show. Stephanie tells Turner that the police confiscated everything in the Batcave. Harvey goes into the police station with the officers bringing the Batcave stuff. The police commissioner asks Harvey if he has seen Ford, the dirty detective who is now headless. He tells her that he has not seen him in a while, and Ford is ducking his calls. She says he better not duck her calls and pulls out her cell phone. She calls him, and they hear a ringing around Ford's desk. Harvey must have hearing loss because dude looks everywhere on, around, and in the desk, except the box sitting on top of it. She comes over, and he finally looks at the box. He opens the box, and of course Ford's head is inside, wrapped in plastic. Harvey suggests calling the other members of Ford's team, and she calls. Ringing coming from a mail cart behind them piled with more head-sized boxes. The four idiots watched the news report announcing the deaths of the cops, and Duella gets a haunted look on her face, reciting some of what she said last week. Turner thinks Bruce was on the Court of the Owl's track when he was killed because he had the coin on him. However, he has no idea how to begin to follow up on Bruce's investigation. Robin appears out of nowhere in her preppy kid gear, saying there's one way to do it, but it is a terrible idea. She suggests breaking into Wayne Tower to get Bruce's journals that he kept in a secret compartment in his office. Good thing Turner is now hanging around a crew of criminals who have already done it once. Turner tells them that the best way in is through Bruce's private elevator from the garage to his office, and the best way into the garage that searches every car that goes in and out is to grab a Wayne security car that is not searched. Robin agrees and peer pressures the others into helping. Back at what has to be police headquarters, but is awfully small, dingy, and lacking any indication it is actually a headquarters in a major metropolitan area. It looks more like a set from Law and Order from the 1990s. They are in an office that I first thought was a lieutenant's, as the mayor bitches at Harvey and the police officer who remains nameless. He makes it sound as if he is putting the dead cops on Turner and his fellow escapees' tally with Bruce. The lieutenant tells them that they have a new lead. Someone was digging in the banking system computers for where the money came from for the hit. Harvey asks who Turner called before being taken away to the prison truck. So, of course, the police show up at school to take Stephanie in for questioning. That night, the gang get into the garage, which seems suspiciously empty, as if CW couldn't afford to make the parking garage set look used. Robin and Turner head upstairs in the elevator. No sooner are the doors closed than Harper is rounding on Duella, asking what she is up to. Apparently, she never goes along with any plan she does not come up with herself. She tells the siblings that this is part of her plan. Her plan involves fencing the watch and getting out of Gotham. She asked around, and the watch is worth more than they thought. And since GCPD won't search Wayne security vehicles, the car has their ticket past the GCPD dragnet. Upstairs, instead of getting the journals and scramming, Turner and Robin stop and stare at the hole in the window and its message for a long minute. A minute they could use later. No, glaring at the window is more important than getting in and out before anyone knows they have been there. After all, it is a window Wayne Enterprises would have replaced the minute the police released the scene, if for no other reason than to prevent weather damage to the office, or birds getting in, or criminals using it to infiltrate Wayne Tower once more. The two break out of their staring contest with the window and find the hidden compartment. Inside, one of the journals is open face down on the shelf. Turner reads a little and finds it is from the time of Bruce's parents' death. Bruce, contrary to what everyone said, believed the Court of Owls had his parents killed. Back in the car, Duella is trying to convince the siblings to join her in splitting. Cullen wants to stay. not only to help Robin and Turner, but to clear the name he chose. At the police station, I am beginning to question the editor, given how things are starting to get out of whack time-wise in this show. Stephanie is just now being questioned by Harvey, when it is hours after school is out, meaning she has been at the station with no parents or lawyers for at least a good 6 hours. I know GCPD and Gotham in general is corrupt as hell, but she comes from a rich family, and the school would have contacted her parents the second the police showed up. Her family would have had a battalion of lawyers in the face of Harvey and GCPD long before this conversation would have had a chance to happen in the chronology the editor placed it in. Anyway, Harvey tells her that he knows she was called by Turner after he was arrested. She defends Turner, telling Harvey if he was really the friend of the Waynes he claims, he would not be thinking Turner could possibly have killed Bruce. Harvey tells her that he knows she has the skills to hack into the banks, and that won't help Turner, only get her into trouble for hacking. She snarks back, and finally the lawyers are called for. Someone comes in with a message for Harvey, and he tells Stephanie that if she won't talk to him, someone else will. She turns to look outside the office and sees Asshole talking to a police officer. Still back at Bruce's office, the two geniuses sent to get the journals are reading them in the office. Not grabbing them and running. No, that would be smart. And this show is anything but smart. No, they are going through them looking for what Bruce found. Apparently, Bruce eventually concluded the Court of Owls was a fairy tale a long time ago. Robin suggests the reason he resurrected his court investigation would be in his last journal. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Of course, that is when Harper calls him over the comms that the cameras all over the building are down and security has called GCPD. Then the motion detectors go. Just as the pair are finally getting ready to leave, the masked swordsman who killed Ford comes through the doors, sword drawn. They run into the inner office and slam the doors, bracing against them. And it takes a ridiculous amount of time for the assassin to think about stabbing his sword through the doors. Harper and the other two then see red lights going off in the garage, and Harper sees that the alert has now gone building wide. The police are on their way. As they pull up outside, Duella says they need to go help Robin and Turner, and the brain-damaged siblings believe her. They get out of the car and run towards the elevator. Duella gets out and gets into the driver's seat, telling them they can still come with her. They refuse and she takes off. The siblings get into the elevator just ahead of the police. Harper and Cullen come into the office and help brace the door. Turner takes a sword off the wall and slides it into the door handles. He then takes another off the wall and readies his stance. The siblings tell them that the elevator is no longer a viable escape route. Robin pulls out a build-your-own zipline gun and uses the hole in the office window to get them out. They go flying along the zipline to safety. Meanwhile, Duella is going to her predictable meeting with her fence. The fence takes the watch and looks at it, telling her the engraving is what makes it so sought after. Duella notices his tone and verbiage and asks what he means by sought after. The fence says one buyer is willing to pay a fortune for the watch, and even more for the seller. He pulls a gun and points it at her from a distance of about 2 feet, meaning the gun is probably about a foot away from her chest. I was positive she was just going to take it from him, but it wound up being even dumber than that. The other four are walking through an alley when Turner expresses his disbelief that the daughter of the Joker would leave them in the lurch. He then wonders how much the watch could possibly be worth. Cullen suggests the engraving would make it worth less, not more. It is then that Turner shoots back that it depends on the buyer and the engraving. Back with the fence, Duella laughs in the guy's face, telling him that she is surprised he is this stupid. She tells him that he has no idea what he is doing, but the defense says that at the price the buyer is paying, he doesn't care. She tells him that however much it is, it will be going towards his funeral. As she explains that the Court of Owls does not leave loose ends, a sword blade appears in the fence's chest. The masked swordsman, either one of many or possessing the ability to teleport, pulls the blade out of the fence's back and he collapses to the pavement. Duella runs to the car, and while she does, the swordsman just stands there watching. Then we get slow-motion Duella as she flees to the car. She gets in and is about to start it when the swordsman appears and stabs his blade through the hood of the car, miraculously disabling the car without shattering the sword on the engine block. He then tries to stab her through the window, but apparently the car's windows are bullet and sword proof, but the hood of the car is not. Why he doesn't then try to stab her through the door, I have no idea. Probably because Duella possesses plot armor. She starts laughing at him, futilely slashing at the window. He stops and goes to puncture the gas line back near the trunk by stabbing through the body of the car. Gas starts pouring out under the car. He uses his sword to light the gas, and a small line of flames erupts. The gas lines do not catch for some reason, just the outside of the car. Duella's plot armor prevents the car from blowing up or being completely engulfed in flames, just the outside pavement on the driver's side of the car. The swordsman goes to stare at Duella through the windshield. A bat throwing knife appears in his shoulder, and Turner and Robin pop up. The fighting ensues. I will compliment the director of this episode because Robin gets manhandled. As a chick who is tiny enough and thin enough to be used as a javelin in the Olympics should be. Turner is a little more effective, eventually causing the swordsman to draw a second sword. While this is going on, the siblings have gotten Duella out of the car. Turner is eventually disarmed by the twin blades, receiving a slice on his forearm in the process. Robin yells for him to get down, and she pulls a grenade launcher from somewhere and shoots the swordsman from about 10 feet away. Mind you, Turner is only about 5 feet away when the explosion throws the swordsman 10 feet in the air and 20 feet away. But somehow, he has received plot armor too. He is totally fine. He gets up and the idiots run away. Apparently, he lets them this time. Back in the tower, Cullen bandages Duella. She thanks the siblings, but they tell her the one she should be thanking is Turner. They would have left her ass. She goes over to where he is in shallow thoughts. She thanks him in a roundabout way. He tells her the best chance they have is to stick together and prove that they did not kill anyone. Then they share feelings because this show is written by former writers of Batwoman. At the police station, Stephanie sees Asshole come out from talking to the police and she yells at him. What follows makes me think I might want to learn his name. Sometime. Eventually. He tells her that he told them that he hacked the banks, trying to help Turner. He tells her that he doesn't want to see her ruin her life for a guy like Turner. Then he leaves, with her gaping at him stupidly. And the whole scene was retarded. Back at Bruce's office, Harvey is wondering why the fugitives would break into Bruce's office and steal a sword. The lieutenant from earlier says she doesn't know, but maybe he should ask the antiquities dealer who was impaled by one earlier. Then we see Cressida looking into a fire. The mayor comes in and asks her to tell the court he is as unhappy with the search for the fugitives as he is. She apparently is a messenger to the Court of Owls, something that Bruce somehow missed. The mayor tells her that he is doing all he can to find them, but he would have more time if he did not have to keep spending so much of it covering up for their executioner. Cressida fires back that he did not seem to mind his methods when the executioner killed the mayor's predecessor. Then she goes all bitch face on him, asking if he is forgetting he has a debt to the court. He says he has not. Just keep him in office so he can keep paying it. Stephanie goes to see Turner in what seems like the next day, and he apologizes for getting her involved in this mess. She wonders how the Talon knew they were at Bruce's office. He tells her that the journals confirm the existence of the Court of Owls, and they can use them to help exonerate themselves. But the final entry was repped out. Back with Robin, in a scene that looks like it happened after she left them following their fight with the Talon, but comes after the daylight scene with Stephanie. Robin climbs in her window from the fire escape at night. When she gets in the room, she pulls out the missing journal pages. On them, Bruce was worried about what Turner would think about what he discovered. And that was the end. Remember in last week's episode where I said it was not as bad as I was expecting? Yeah, this was what I was expecting. There were so many scenes in this episode that were filled with stupid writing choices, bad acting, and horrific editing. Let's leave out my criticism of set design, because CW is so broke, Warner Brothers and Paramount gave the company away for free. So the budget on this one is probably whatever they could scrape together to throw on CW. The stupid started in the very first scene with Harvey magically finding the Batcave off screen, and without follow-up explanations. Then we jump immediately into the four most wanted people in Gotham, probably the country, deciding to take some me time in their life on the lam by breaking into a high-end boutique and ransacking the place. And when the police show up, both they and Robin are running around with flashlights conveniently on, so all and sundry looking at the alley they are in will know people are there doing shady stuff. The less said about the news reports on this show, the better. They make local news in bumfuck Egypt look like world-class production. The guy playing the mayor is either a terrible actor, his lines are written by an overly dramatic concussion patient, or both. Something I noticed last week but forgot to mention is how much I hate Robin's costume, especially the mask. People who sneak around in the dark do not wear lights of any kind. Never mind lights by their eyes that will diminish their night vision. As bad as the casting of Robin was, the costume department did her dirty with that bit of catastrophe. The siblings are still flat notes in a whole show of flatness, but at least the writers gave them a little agency this week. They were less duel as shadows and more semi-independent characters. Poorly written and badly acted characters, but they were more independent. Turner is almost as bad. He is bland, and also without much agency. He reacts to things, rather than plotting his own course and following it. This search for proof of their innocence has already gotten tedious, and we are only 2 episodes in. Not to mention, they start the show off by saying that they're out of leads already. The story in this episode did not advance much, and what advancing it did was muddled and incompetently written. All the good things I said about Misha Collins last week, I take back this week. He is terrible. The scene between him and Stephanie, bad editing and knowledge of how criminal justice systems work for wealthy people aside, was moronic, and what follows from her arrest is even worse. The earlier scene of him finding Ford's head in a box was imbecilic as well. The phone in the box was not muted by the box at all, showing more sloppy editing. And Misha Collins should have gone over to the desk and immediately realized the phone was in the box, not on the desk, or in a drawer, or around the desk. Game of Suckface Asshole is still an asshole in this episode, which makes Stephanie confiding her criminal activities to him completely baffling. Even more baffling is the whiplash-inducing about-face his character takes when she is arrested. Nothing in the episode and a half before that made him out to be someone who thinks about anything other than himself. Noble sacrifice that includes long prison sentences seems completely out of whack, especially since he is a jock at a prestigious prep school who presumably has a future planned out for him. Hard time would put that in jeopardy, something that does not match what we have seen from him. That was a way too radical turn in his character to be believable. And then we have Cressida being revealed as the messenger of the Court of Owls. She was acting hanky in the first episode, but this is even stupider. Unless Bruce hired her to get closer to the court, I am not buying that nonsense either. Batman is the foremost detective in the DC universe who would vet employees, especially ones in positions of trust, harder than the CIA. Not to mention, the Court of Owls is made out to be an elite society of upper-crust people and families who ignore the laws in favor of advancing their own interests. And a messenger of such a group will be someone from that strata of society. They would not trust anyone else with such secrets as their messenger would be privy to. Someone Bruce Wayne would hire as a housekeeper / nanny / whatever the hell Cressida is would not come from the upper classes. As with last week, I still find Duella to be the only interesting character. She has a vibrancy to her that is lacking in everyone else. She is being poorly written and directed, but I find the actress's performance of her interesting enough to credit her as the best thing going for this show. Stephanie has possibility, but she is still a bland character that is more a furniture character than someone helping to move the story along in a meaningful and entertaining way. Duella has the possibility to be a grenade tossed into the mix and blows up, makes them exciting to watch. Alas, I still think the people in the writer's room and the people making the decisions for this show are not smart enough to capitalize on her possibility. They will screw it up, but it won't be the actress's fault. This episode was my confirmation that CW still has no idea what it's doing. And I guess some of that blame goes to Warner Brothers and Paramount as well, especially Warner Brothers. It amazes me that Warner Brothers owns 3 out of the 4 best comic book characters in history. Those would be, in no particular order, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Spider-Man, but have taken every opportunity over the decades to leave money on the table with them. Anyone with half a brain would not make a Batman-related show where the first thing you do is kill Batman. But here we are with Gotham Knights. I doubt YouTubers will be lucky enough for this trash to go beyond 1 season, but I didn't think Batwoman would either. There is no fathoming Hollywood executives in modern day, so who knows? Gotham Knights fits right in with the rest of the DC trash on CW that they have been shoveling for years. And while it does not approach the level of cringe that Batwoman and Naomi did thus far, this is the CW. That is all I have for you this video. The next video will be the Arc Episode 8 from last night. If you like what I do here, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and comment down below. I appreciate it all, and thanks for watching. Until next time. Tschüss.